Hey everybody, this is Fernando from the Rollback Podcast. And you know what day it is? It's actually Saturday. I know what you're thinking. What the fuck is this guy doing on the Saturday podcast? We already hear him on Wednesdays. We are tired of him. Well, I know how you feel. And I'm sorry. My grandma tells me the same thing. It's a hard life. But I'm actually reviewing a new movie. It's not an old movie. It just came out on video on demand. It was one of the unfortunate casualties of the coronavirus. Unfortunately, not all movies were able to make it to theaters, and so some companies decided to ship them on out to video on demand. And one of those movies is Love and Monsters. Now, I remember seeing the trailer for this like a long time ago. Probably pre-COVID, maybe in February. And, I mean, looked alright. Looked alright when I saw the trailer. Had some noticeable people in it. The main actor is Dylan O'Brien. You may know him from Maze Runner, Scorch Trials, Death Cure. But for me, the first thing I remember seeing him in was The Internship with Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. But I do like how he is as an actor. I mean, I like the Maze Runner movies, so I figured I'd enjoy this one too. In this movie, it's also starring Jessica Henwick. You may know her from Iron Fist. She plays Colleen Wing. I want to say that's her most notable role. She also came out in movies like Underwater. She's coming out in The Matrix 4. She's coming out in Godzilla vs. Kong. But yeah, I want to say that's pretty much the thing that she's known for the most. Alongside them starring is Michael Rooker, who plays Clyde. And we all know Mike Rooker. He came out on The Walking Dead as Merle, Daryl's brother. And he's also come out in Guardians of the Galaxy, Volumes 1 and 2, as Yondu. He's kind of like a cult classic actor. You really don't see him a lot of big budget stuff, but when you do, you really do remember who he is. And alongside them starring is a young actress named Ariana Greenblatt, who plays Minnow, Clyde's daughter. But that's enough for this little introduction. Let's get on with the motherfucking rollback. Yes, so like I said, I am doing a little special episode because we are saving the Saturday episodes more so for newer movies, things like that. Rollback really wants that to happen. And then Rewind is going to be more for the older movies, things that we might have missed in the past. But as of right now, yeah, this is a new movie that just came out on video on demand, probably maybe a week old. I had seen the trailer, and I was just like, it looks pretty good. And so today I decided to watch it, and holy shit, I was actually really pleasantly surprised on how good it was, because I don't know if you all noticed this, but what I noticed on the trend of these video on demand movies is that a lot of the times it looks like they come out and they're just not that great. But no, this one was really pleasantly, surprisingly good. And it's basically a rom-com set in bullshit. It's not a rom-com. This movie has a lot of heart. It's about a boy who loses his love to this crazy monster apocalypse that happens because we send some nukes into space, I believe, to destroy an asteroid. And all the debris comes down and it mutates the insects here on the planet, turning them into monsters. And they basically take over the planet, driving 5% of what's left of the human race underground. And so this movie's about a boy named Joel who is kind of a pussy. He's a very big puss, and he has this problem with freezing in danger. So the people who he's with, his colony, they kind of just look at him like, he's good for inside things. If he goes outside, he's probably going to die. And they're probably right. So this is all pretty much the plan until he finally tracks down the girl that he fell in love with. He tracks down her colony through the radio. And he tried like a bunch of channels. Finally, he ends up finding her. And so he basically makes the decision of, this is the last remnant that I had before things went to shit, and I need to find her. And I like the story. The story's actually really interesting. It's about this dude who like I said, is a giant puss, and he finally grows a pair, and he goes for it. He's just like, you know what? Like, you can tell me I'm gonna die all you want. And the impression that you get from his colony is, it's worried. They're worried for him. But it's not so much that, like, they're worried because they don't think he's gonna make it. They're worried because they love him. Another aspect about this movie is that, even though if your family's gone, you can find family in other people. And what he does and what he realizes is that family is the people that he's survived with until he left to go find the girl. And he realized that near the end of the movie. He's just like, fuck, man. Like, I mean, I loved going on this trip because this trip really opened me up and really turned me into a better person. But at the end of the day, these people are my family and they rely on me. And so it is a nice little story that you see. When you see Joel decide to make his way, everyone is really just trying to talk him out of it. But eventually they pretty much reluctantly go along with it. They give him a map as to the areas that they've explored and what to do. So on his journey, he runs into this stray dog, whose name is Boy. It seems as a master was killed by one of the monsters. And so he picks up this dog along the way. And he basically, it's kind of like there was an old video game where it was kind of like that. And yeah, so he has this dog along the way. Think of I Am Legend, except not as depressing. And him picking up this dog, he kind of really just picks up this friend that he never knew he really needed until at that point. After he meets Boy, he meets Minnow, and he meets Clyde, a father and daughter tandem duo that he finds on his path to the west to go find Amy, who's played by Jessica Henwick. I believe that's her name. Please don't hate me if I got it wrong. And so Michael Rooker and the little girl who is Minnow. And Michael Rooker, it's funny because I wonder if they did this on purpose or if it's just happy coincidence, but his character's carrying around a samurai sword. So I'm just like, is that a Walking Dead reference, or are you just like, samurai swords are cool? I really hope it's the reference. But he meets these people who have obviously been out in this world for quite a while, and he learns basically how to adapt very quickly to being in this world. Because, again, he's been living in a bunker for the last 7 years. So his idea of this world is that it's absolutely tremendously scary, which it is, but it doesn't mean that you can't navigate around it. And so he finds these people, and you could tell that relationships are getting formed even in this short amount of time that they're together, because it seems at this point, I mean, people are just making connections very quickly, even though they're in an apocalypse and people might get lost. He meets this little girl, Minnow, who grows immensely attached to him, and you can tell that she doesn't want him to leave. He gives her a little tube of lipstick because he knows that she'll love it. And when they finally end up splitting off, it is pretty sad because you're just like, fuck, man, I hope like they see each other again. Because even though in that little time span of this movie, you do like kind of start feeling for the characters, and you're just like, man, I really do hope that he finds these people again. And so he goes off on his own, and he goes to find Amy. Through his travels, he's really tested about his loyalty to Boy, the dog. At one point, Boy just does something that, man, it could have gotten them both killed. And so he basically has to make the decision of, why am I still paying attention to this dog who obviously doesn't care for me as a master and is putting my life in danger when I want to go see this girl that I knew before everything happened. But no, he ends up realizing like that Boy's good for him. And like all friends, you might have a friend that does something immensely stupid, but they're still your friend in the end. But one of the interesting aspects is that I kind of started picking up when the movie was going on, is that, I mean, when he meets Amy again, you can tell that it's starting to go towards the side of, fuck, it's not the same as it was before. Everything has changed. The idea that he had of her is not there. The idea that he has, that's all it was. It was a memory of a past that they once knew. And you could tell, like, that even he starts to realize this. This is when the aspect of families anywhere you make it starts playing out. Because at this point, when he meets Amy, he's really starting to second guess himself. He's just like, man, was I even... what's the point of this? What was the point? Because, I mean, I thought I loved this girl, and I show up, and I come to realize that things aren't as they were before, and I guess people do change. And so he ends up picking up the map, and he turns it around. I guess he never, like, no one ever really thinks about that, to turn around the map, because once you see the part that you need, you're pretty much, okay, that's the part I need. And when he turns the map around, he sees all these signatures and all these little, it was like a high school yearbook, think about that. And it was all the people from his colony. They were just like, we'll miss you, like, we love you, please come back to us. And you can tell that even though in his own head, even though he felt like he was such a small part in that colony, that he meant something to these people. He was family. And so you finally see it click in him that, you know what, like, I get it. I get that I want to see this girl who's a part of my past, but I have these people that I fell in love with because, I mean, we were all thrown in this circumstance together, and we became a family. And so you see that nice little connection between Dylan O'Brien and these random group of people. And in this group of people, there's no actor that you've ever seen before. At all. And if there is, props to you. I've never seen any of them before. But they all do a really good job. That's the thing that surprised me about this movie. This movie has a really high rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Granted, I'm not a big Rotten Tomatoes guy. I'm just like, okay, dude, I'll fucking check the audience score first before I check the critic score. But on Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, it's 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, and then the audience score is not too far behind at 91%. So it's just like, holy shit, like, so this movie's actually really good. And for me, I'm not expecting, like, sequels out of this movie. The way the movie ends, I like the ending. The ending's really nice for what it was. It basically plays on the aspect of, hey, man, like, families, wherever you make it, and families get bigger, you just have to do whatever it takes to take care of the family that you have now. And I'm not sure if they were trying to set up for a sequel with the ending, but if they were, I feel like because this movie is a COVID movie and it came out on video on demand, the chances of it getting picked up to make a sequel are very slim, which sucks because, I mean, I'm not one of those type of people who's just like, yes, sequel everything needs a sequel. But I think I would like to see like the journey that this character goes on, because it's a very interesting journey that they go on. But so that's my little overview of what the movie is about. But I mean, as far as like reviewing the movie, I would definitely recommend this to people. This movie was really good, surprisingly good. It has a great cast that you focus on, and you're just like, you're pretty entertained. I really don't know how to like genre this movie. It's just an adventure movie, and it's just pokes fun at the not pokes fun, but it's set in the post-apocalyptic genre, but not to the point that you're just like, oh, it's like a Book of Eli post-apocalyptic adventure movie. It's not. It's a fun movie. Like, if you're just looking like to chill and have a good time, I would highly recommend this movie. The cast is great. Everything about this movie is really well done. But yeah, I mean, as far as my feelings go, I feel a little not hurt, but I feel bad for the people that worked on this movie, because I have a feeling that if it wasn't for COVID, chances are this movie might have gotten made into a sequel. You might see more of these characters, but because of COVID, you're just like, man, I don't think this movie's gonna get picked up. But I mean, hopefully something good happens. But I mean, yeah, like as far as this movie goes, the quick thing about the main actor, Dylan O'Brien, I mean, this dude, he can carry a fucking movie. I mean, he did really well with the Maze Runner movies. I remember I bought the first Maze Runner movie without ever seeing it in theaters or reading any of the books. I just heard it was really good. And so I bought it and I was like, holy shit, like this movie's actually really good. So I really do hope we get to see more of Dylan O'Brien take lead roles, because dude's got some chops. I'm looking at like the producers of this movie. Fun fact, one of the producers is Sean Levy. And if you're wondering who's Sean Levy, well, you know what, I'm going to tell you, because I'm a good guy. He's the dude that pretty much directs all the episodes of Stranger Things. He's worked with the Duffer Brothers on Stranger Things for the longest time. So yeah, they had a really good producer behind this movie. As far as the director goes, Michael Matthews. Trying to see like what movies he's done, and he hasn't really done many movies. I'd say this one's probably like, I want to say this is his first movie as a big name director, because I'm looking at his IMDb and all of them are short films. One director producer credit, Five Fingers for Marcellus, and then Love and Monsters. So this is his directing debut. He's a South African writer, producer, director. And yeah, so this is basically his introduction into the American market. And I gotta say, if this movie was in theaters, he'd have a really strong introduction. I really do believe this movie would get a lot of likes in the theater. It's truly a shame that we're not gonna see that. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch on video on demand, I know that they just put out like a bunch of movies like Unhinged, Antebellum. I haven't seen that one yet, so that'll probably be on my next to watch list. But I mean, really, I honestly, truly want to tell you all, If you haven't seen Love and Monsters, please watch it. It is very good, it's very entertaining. If you're just looking for a movie to just sit back and relax to, this is your movie. It is awesome. But yeah, that's it. That is it for us here at the Rollback. I believe this Saturday we have the Conjuring podcast coming out because Halloween. And then we're also going to have, this one. This coming week, we might have a triple header coming at you for the Wednesday Rewind. I have 13 Ghosts, Saw coming out for sure on Wednesday. And if everything goes to plan, we will have a third podcast coming out Wednesday featuring myself, my cohort Eddie, my trusty sidekick, my underling, and then one of our oldest friends, Shu. Yes, you're right. That is his name, Shu. So, hopefully everything goes to plan. If Eddie doesn't join us, chances are it'll just be me and Shu. But yeah, so as far as this goes, that is the plan coming up for the next few podcasts. Lastly, before everything ends, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening to us here at the Rollback. We really appreciate it. Find us on Facebook, find us on YouTube, find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google. Our link tree is at the link below. It'll take you to wherever we are. Please like, share, subscribe. We are here for you. We might start setting up a little thing where you can suggest movies. Maybe that'll be fun. You never know. And time to sign off. This is Fernando. And this is the Rollback. Cut it.